Hey, so I never really made a video like this. Actually, I have, but I was 15 and didn't know how to make videos, so those are enlisted. Now that I'm much older, 16, I'll try to hopefully make a video that I don't have to enlist 5 seconds after uploading it. Anyways, pop music has a reputation for being shit. Obviously, there are some well-liked pop musicians, Michael Jackson, Cyndi Lauper, Madonna, and even in recent years, there have been some critically acclaimed pop musicians, Lady Gaga, Beyonce, Lorde, Chaperone, even though I don't really like her music personally. But even with a lot of well-liked pop musicians, there are some bad ones that ruin the reputation of the entire genre. Tones and I, Meghan Trainor, Marvin Gaye. No, not him, this shit. Let's Marvin Gaye and get it on. There's so many hated pop musicians that people typically see pop as a bad genre that stopped being good since like the early 2000s. But I'm here to tell you that there's some good pop albums out there. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you my favorite pop albums ever made. Now, keep in mind, this list is my opinion, and I'm also not going to be including things like pop punk, pop rock, pop rap, pop soul, pop fucking, I don't know, house. Now, pop surprisingly has a lot of subgenres to consider. Things like art pop, prog pop, synth pop, noise pop, etc. So the types of pop you really like just depend on your music taste. And you can see my preferences pretty heavily on this list, and see that I tend to favor one subgenre heavily. But we'll get to that later. Anyways, enough rambling, here's my list. I decided to go with 12 albums since, I don't know man, 10 seemed too obvious. It's not in any order of best to worst to anything, it's just ordered by release date, so oldest first, newest last. Okay, go. Starting off strong with an album that you literally cannot listen to anywhere unless you have the vinyl of it. Unless you watch this video. Tatsuro Yamashita is a god of city pop. I mean, he's made so many albums and every one of them has like an 80 plus on album of the year. Now, I've not listened to any other album by this man, but this album is just pure beauty. Dated sounding beauty, but it's still pretty beautiful. This album only has 12 songs. I say only because 4 of them are interludes, so yeah, only 8 songs. So this album is sort of lacking because of that, but that is until you listen to those 8 tracks and realize they're all masterpieces. Sparkle is one of the most beautiful songs I've ever heard. I'd say give it a listen, but good luck finding that on YouTube. Morning Glory is another favorite of mine. It has all the qualities I want from a catchy city pop song from the 80s. And all the other songs are so special in their own ways. I kinda wanna get the vinyl of this album, just so I don't have to go on a full-on hunt every time I want to listen to this gorgeous album. From the same year of 1872, we have Michael Jackson's masterpiece, Thriller. Now, I actually own this one on vinyl because of how much I love it. I mean, it's also just super easy to find, but whatever. I think this is a no-skip. You can hate on The Girl's Mind all you want, but fuck you, that's one of my favorites. Every song is obviously iconic and amazing. I mean, it's literally the most sold album in America, and I think just in general, but I'm not really sure. Billie Jean, Thriller, and Beta are the most obvious top 3 best songs, but the deep cuts are just as good. The Lady in My Life is a slow dance style love song for the outro. Human Nature is another good, really slow dance song, but to be fair, I honestly don't know how someone would dance to that song. The Girl Is Mine's single-handedly the most overhated song ever written, and the list goes on. I mean, this album also suffers from only having 9 songs, and while I personally prefer For You, I think you could argue that this one is more solid. Probably the best and most iconic dance album ever made. Dream pop is a subgenre of pop that I tend to favor. No, this is not the subgenre I was hinting at the beginning of the video. Be patient. I think Heaven or Las Vegas is the dream pop album. This thing is just so serene and lush, and I mean, obviously dreamy too. There's a lot of variety here. Some extremely soft songs and some heavy, hard hitting songs on here too. There's so many good songs on this album that it was almost hard to pick a favorite. I say almost hard because it's obviously Frou Frou Foxes, but I mean, there's a lot of good songs here, man. Cherry Colored Funk, Pitch the Baby, Ice Blink Luck, I Wear Your Ring, False Politic. I literally just named half the track list. This thing is loaded. This album is why I love being a music nerd. If I wasn't into RYM core, I would have never checked this album out. Thanks, Rate Your Music, I suppose. Art pop time. Yes, obviously I couldn't leave out the queen of pop, Björk. Björk? Not sure. She has one of the best voices in music, period, along with stellar writing and production that makes me levitate. Homogenic is Björk's most well known project. This has a couple of big hits from her: the rock inspired Bachelorette, the quiet yet aggressive Hunter, Unravel, which is Tom York's favorite song ever, and obviously quite arguably her best song in her entire career. How do you pronounce this? Yoga, Jaga? I'm gonna go Jaga. This song is so beautiful and I don't even know what it's about. Björk sings with these beautiful strings that sound exactly like they're following her commanding vocals, along with Björk herself giving it her fucking all in this song. I literally don't care what kind of music you listen to, I beg of you to give this song a try. Genuinely one of the most beautiful, emotional, and straight up best songs ever written. Oh, also Alarm Call is my favorite song. Yep, I picked two Björk albums for this video, and guess what? I prefer this to Homogenic. I remember when I first listened to Vespertine, I had listened to Homogenic the day before and decided to give Vespertine a try. I played the first song and instantly knew this was going to be better. Hidden Place is like top 5 Björk. What an actual masterpiece of the art pop genre and just pop music as a whole. And this is like the third best on the album. Unison is Björk's best lyrical feat, a nearly 7-minute long song about Björk wanting to be with someone and finding love, even though she's introverted and with love being a new thing to her. This is definitely Björk's best closing track. I mean, I've only listened to 3 Björk albums, but it's probably the best out of those 3. And then we have it. Björk's best song, in my opinion. Pagan Poetry. This is literally beauty in a song. I know I've said beauty a lot in this video already to describe things, but if I were to use the word just once in this video, it'd be to describe pagan poetry. Instrumentally beautiful, vocally beautiful, lyrically beautiful, it's just nearly perfect. And that's not even talking about every other song on this album. I could make an entire video on Vespertine. It truly deserves its praise. What you say? Oh, that you only meant. And here we have it, my favorite pop album, and just one of my favorite albums, period. This album means a lot to me. I listened to it randomly one day, not knowing what to expect, and instantly being sucked into this world Imogen Heap creates with her dreamy production and soft yet commanding voice. It truly feels like you're with Imogen Heap, either in a grassy field or a plain white void, just like the album cover whenever you listen to this album. Now, I could gush about this album for like days if I could, but just to say a couple things for this video, I think it's underrated despite being beloved by a lot of critics and music nerds in general. I cannot name one. I cannot name 2 bad songs on this album if I tried. I mean, this album is just flawless. Every song portrays a different emotion and idea with so much care and creativity, it's actually insane. Songs like Headlock, Goodnight and Go, Just For Now, and especially Hide and Seek will go down in history, at least in my opinion, as some of the best pop songs ever made. But not just that, some of the best pieces of music in general. I feel like I can never get bored with this album. This album could play every second of every day for the rest of my entire life, and if anything, it'd probably make me a lot happier since this album is just so special to me. If it's not obvious yet, I really do think you should give a listen to this album. Please, I'm begging you. I'm probably gonna make a video on this album one day, so I'll just leave it here without talking about any of the tracks in detail, but just know I have a lot more to say about Imogen Heap's magnum opus. Okay, I'll just say it here, I'm biased towards synth pop. Yes, that was the subgenre I was referring to at the beginning of this video. I actually just really love synthesizers in general, as hard as the word is to pronounce for me. Synthesizer. This album uses them perfectly, just look at songs like Plastic Beach, Stylo, Rhinestone Eyes, and especially the best song on this album, Empire Ants. This is such a relaxing sounding album, even if the lyrics are 9 times out of 10 pretty depressing to say the least. I could see me playing this at an actual beach one day. I really love this album. And I also really appreciate the features on this thing. White Flag and Superfast Jellyfish are pretty good examples, as the features are my favorite parts of those songs that I already really enjoy. Just look at some of the features on this album. You got Snoop Dogg, Mos Def, Lou Reed, De La Soul, and Little Dragon, to name a few of the more well known features. There's also apparently lore for this album. I know Gorillaz is famous for having an entire universe surrounding the songs, but I don't know much about it despite watching an hour-long lore explanation video one time. Just weird. Hey, so I'm really close to being done writing this when I realized I was missing 2 albums. This isn't the reason why I chose for there to be 12. There were already 12 picks beforehand, but I realized when searching through my highest rated pop albums on Album of the Year that they don't include Dream Pop albums in the pop section for some reason. So, Heaven in Las Vegas and Bloom were not included at first. I removed Imaginal Disc from the top 12 because I hadn't begun writing for that album yet and put in Heaven in Las Vegas, but Thriller was the next one to be replaced with Bloom, but I thought since I only thought Bloom was slightly better than Thriller in my opinion, I'd give a little mention to it here and leave Thriller in so I can include more old pop albums instead of favoring the 2010s so much. Anyways, listen to Bloom so you can form your own thoughts on it since I'm not going to talk about it here anyways. Another amazing example of synth pop. This album is extremely underrated in my opinion, as this album has some of the best synth work in modern times, in my opinion at least. Songs like The Mother We Share, We Sync, Tether, and Science having some of the best uses of it in my opinion in the history of music. Just like Imogen Heap, I think this album has a lot of creativity in terms of every song being different from one another, while also making every song, good. I love the lead singer. I don't remember her name, but she has an amazing voice. One of the best voices of the entire 2010s, in my opinion. I also like the male singer on Under the Tide and You Caught the Light, but I also don't remember his name. I don't really have much to say about this one, since even though it's a unique sounding album, it's the closest here, besides maybe Michael Jackson, to being quote unquote average radio friendly pop music, which most of these albums aren't. They're a lot more experimental. Don't think that means I don't absolutely love this album though, because I really, really, really love this album, and I recommend it a ton. I always thought this leaned more towards a pop rock album, but Album of the Year says it's alt pop, and I just really want an excuse to talk about this album. It's weird that some of my favorite writing and lyricism and music comes from an album by the same people who said this. Yes, 21 Pilots definitely has a reputation, but this album thankfully has literally none of the flaws 21 Pilots usually has. The writing here is so mature and poetic, it's strange that they made fucking Scaled and Icy after this. The album is full of lyrics that have actually made me tear up before, especially songs like Neon Gravestones, Legend, and Leave the City. All 3 are favorites of mine from this album. My favorite, though, has to be Chlorine. Chlorine? Fuck, I mispronounced it. No, not for the reasons with the lyrics being amazing or anything, it's just a bop. Yes, while this album has incredibly sad sounding songs, most of the songs are in that weird category of music I'd like to call music where the lyrics are sad and depressing, but the instrumentation is dancey core, especially with songs like My Blood and Morph. Also, before I end this segment, I legally have to mention Jumpsuit before we continue. Listen to Jumpsuit, it's good. Look at the sky, still here. This is the closest we get to hyperpop on this list. I really wish Pop 2 and 10,000 Gags were just slightly better so I could have included them. Also, yes, I know 10,000 Gags isn't really hyperpop. Shut up. Anyways, Nurture continues the theme that will continue until the end of this list, that is, pop music I have cried to. This music has some heavy themes, man. Themes of thinking you're not good enough and trying to find a reason to continue even living are like the main two concepts on this album. Sad stuff aside, though, this thing has incredibly amazing production. Songs like Look at the Sky and Something Comforting have really good production to pair with the vocals, while Wind Tempos and Do Re Mi Fa Sol La Ti Do are just Porter flexing his god tier production skills. But we do have to discuss the best song on this album, one of the best songs of the decade so far, in my opinion, in general. Unfold. On top of having really heavy production and Porter giving his all vocally, it also has Porter giving his all lyrically. I mean, this thing is straight up poetry, man. The lyrics discussing Porter's negative feelings overwhelming him as he seems to shoulder the weight of the world. This is such an emotionally powerful song. I definitely recommend checking it out after this video. I mean, after you check out all the other albums and songs I tell you to check out, that is. Okay, I know this is cheating, but come on. Violet Pony releases like 3 albums a year, and they're all amazing. These 2 albums were made within 1 year of each other, and they're both not only some of the best electronic albums I've ever heard, but also some of the best pop albums as well, and definitely the best albums themed around My Little Pony OCs. Cutie Marks is more of a personal album, discussing a lot of things that have happened in Violet's life, including their relationship with the internet and My Little Pony, and how these things have affected their life. Just like with Nurture, though, there are a lot of songs on here that are just super fun without having to be personal or mean anything, like Lesbian Ponies with Weapons. Yes, that is a real song title. This album beat out fucking Currents, by the way. Can Opener's Notebook isn't in the slightest personal to Violet Pony, unless Trout is a self-insert character? I don't know. This album is a concept album about a My Little Pony OC discovering he can talk to fish. Would it be crazy if I said I like this more than Cutie Marks? This one's just so cool, man. There's so many cool ambient inspired tracks on here, and also some more rock and emo-ish inspired songs on here too. This one has less and more variety than Cutie Marks at the same time. It's kind of weird. I put these two together, one, so there can be more artists on this list, ignore the 2 Björk albums, and 2, I feel like my favorite between these two changes a lot. Today, it's Can Opener's Notebook, but tomorrow it might be Cutie Marks. I don't know. Oh, also, these albums are bro step. The last one on this list is also the saddest. Oh, fuck me. I Didn't Mean to Haunt You is an album made by YouTuber Quadeca, famous for beefing with fucking KSI. This album is actually soul crushing, and if you haven't listened to it yet, leave, because I'm about to spoil the entire thing. Did you leave? Did you listen to it? No? Fuck you. This album is about Quadeca committing suicide and instantly regretting it. He tries so hard to talk to his family, but since he's a ghost, no one can hear him. He decides to kill his family so he can speak to them again, but he can't find them anywhere. They're not on the human realm. He then realizes he's stuck in the human realm because he keeps holding on to the memories of the human realm. He decides to just let go and move on, leading him to, well, we aren't told what happens to his soul. It's up to interpretation. The last song is about his body still in the human world. We never truly get to know what happens to his soul after he lets go. This album deals with the idea of suicide and the thoughts someone might be having leading up to them taking their own life so well. This album has better writing than any album here, even if it's not the best in my opinion. Every song here speaks about his pain in such detail, while still being a bit abstract at times. It's an out-of-body experience. And yes, that is a reference to the fact that he is out of his body. Okay, that was a stupid way to end this segment. Moving on. And that's the list. Now, before I end this video, I'd like to shout out these pop albums that I really like but weren't included. These are actually ranked from best to worst. Imaginal Disc, Currents, Norman fucking Rockwell, Blonde, Fabulous Muscles, Nothing But the Best, Emotion, How to Be a Human Being, Melodrama, Details, Pop 2, Love Deluxe, Eureka, and The Air Force. If you haven't listened to those albums, give those a try as well. Well, that was a journey. I hope you enjoyed me ranting about music. I'd say check out my other videos, but I don't really have any other videos like this one yet. I do intend to make more of these types of videos in the future though, so be on the lookout for another one of these. Maybe even turn on notifications, subscribe, You'll be notified when I upload. Come on, please. I need subscribers. Bye. Also, listen to these two albums if you're looking for a pop live album, and listen to this album if you're based. Okay, bye.